Hey y'all, welcome back to our weekly Q&A here at CollegeVine. I'm Katie, and every week I answer some questions submitted via our YouTube channel and our website in order to help all of you get a better understanding of the college admissions process. If you would like to submit a question for us to answer in our next video, leave that question in the comments below. And of course, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're one of the first to see our latest helpful video. Let's get started with today's 4 questions. First, today we have a question from Lauren, who asked, which is better, an A in a regular class or a B in an honors class? Well, Lauren, it's a great question, as all of our questions are. When looking at your high school transcript, colleges look not only at your grades, but also at the rigor of your curriculum. That means that taking AP, IB, and honors courses is really always a good idea. If you think you can get a B in a rigorous class, you should take that class. Colleges want to see that you're challenging yourself and doing at least relatively well. It shows that you'll perform well at the academic environment of an elite college and contribute to the academic community. Even if you don't get an A in the AP or IB course, you may still do well on the AP exam or the IB exam, which gives you a chance to earn college credit. However, if you think that the class is too demanding and you might earn a C or even lower, you should probably take the regular version of the class instead. One last thing to keep in mind here, if you are concerned about enrolling in a course and want more advice on how to proceed, you might want to try talking to the teacher of the class or your current teacher in that subject. He or she is probably familiar with your abilities in this subject and may be able to steer you in the right direction based on their knowledge of the curriculum in that next course. Question number 2 for today is from Sunny, who asked us, are there any benefits to submitting applications earlier than the deadline? So, Sunny, there are only 2 times that submitting early is an advantage. The first is if the school you're applying to offers rolling admission. Rolling admission is when applications are evaluated and decisions are made as the applications are received, as opposed to waiting for a deadline and then having a standard notification date. Under rolling admissions, the sooner you submit your application, the sooner it will be reviewed by an admissions officer. Also, colleges still have their whole class to fill, so you won't be compared to many students who have already accepted or who have applied. The only other time submitting your application early is an advantage is when you want to avoid technological issues. So, right before a deadline, either early or regular, there are probably going to be a large amount of students who want to submit minutes before that deadline. When you submit that close to a deadline, for example, January 1st at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you may be more prone to things like system errors, site crashes, and other technological issues just because so many students are on the platform trying to submit. The best way to be sure to avoid all of those issues is to submit 1 or 2 days before the deadline, just to be safe. Hopefully that answered that question. To reiterate, there are no real advantages to submitting your application before the deadline, except for rolling admissions and to avoid technological issues in submission. Our third question today is from Brad, who asks, do colleges ever get to see which other colleges you've applied to? And then can they factor that information into their decision process? For instance, are they less likely to accept a candidate who has applied to many other schools? This is a great question and actually something that I know a lot of students worry about. So the answer is that for the most part, admissions officers are not able to see what other schools you're applying to. When you submit the common application, they only see information like your name, your entry term, your recommenders, etc. And if you allow schools to communicate with you prior to submitting an application, they probably have your home address, your cell phone number, your email, maybe your social security number, all of this sort of boring stuff. So they really don't see what other colleges you're applying to. However, the only exception to that rule might be if your high school includes the schools you're applying to on your transcript. You should know that. They will tell you if they do that, and it's pretty rare. Additionally, some schools may actually ask you what colleges you're thinking about or applying to, but that's more for data collection for the colleges. It should never affect your chance of getting into the school if they do ask you that question. Once again, them asking is pretty rare as well. So Brad, for the most part, colleges do not know where else you're applying, and we don't recommend worrying at all about this. Instead, you should just focus on building a strong application and essay that is customized to each school and will stand out to admissions officers. And now for our last question of today, Carrie asks, simply, how do I choose a college major? Well, when you apply to college, many schools do actually ask you to specify an intended major, but before you stress too much about what to put down, remember that in most cases, it does not mean that you're sealing your fate forever. It's totally normal to feel unsure about what you want your major to be when you're only 17 or 18. For an initial brainstorm, we recommend thinking about your interests and passions and the courses in which you excel in high school and how all of those things might fit together into a potential college major. It's important to play to your strengths, of course. In some cases, you may see that some majors or schools within universities have higher acceptance rates than others. And so it might be tempting to put down one of those easier majors in hopes of upping your chances of getting in. However, you really shouldn't just put down a major that may have fewer applicants then the one that you truly want to pursue just to maximize your chances of acceptance. You really should stick with your genuine interests and base on your strengths. You can also do research. You can visit college open houses, you can talk to representatives, and you can discuss options with an alumni interviewer if you receive an interview. And finally, if you truly have absolutely no idea about which major you might want to pursue, many schools do offer undecided as an option when applying. However, if majors are not binding on your application, it is a good idea to actually put down something, not undecided. Along with thinking about your interests and passions, ask your teachers, your guidance counselor, other mentors, maybe your parents for advice. And keep in mind that you don't have to apply under the same major at every school on your list. Many schools have different majors as well as certain overlaps. They might call majors a different thing. And so for each school, it might be slightly different. Thank you to the 4 of you who submitted questions. Hopefully that advice was helpful. If you have a question that you want us to answer in next week's Q&A, remember to submit those questions in the comments below this video. And we also invite you to visit us online at app.collegevine.com for free guidance on essays, applications, test prep, and a whole bunch more. That's it for this week, and we will see you next week for the next Q&A.